Hi there, it's Nicole here today with an easy watercolored florals thank you card showcasing some Mama Elephant stamps and dies. I have been in a floral mood lately. I think I'm ready for spring. And so I've been kind of dusting off some older stamp sets and playing around with them. This is a more solid type of floral image stamp set, the brushed florals from Mama Elephant. And what I did was die cut the frames from some watercolor cardstock using the Mama Elephant Madison Avenue dies. At first I thought I'd use the frame too, but I'm actually going to switch that out later. Regardless, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greetings first. And I'm using the Misty to line those up and stamp those right there kind of in the upper half of my frame panel using some jet black ink from Lawn Fawn. Then I'm going to take Distress inks and stamp the flowers. And you're going to see when I stamp them, it doesn't look very impressive. They are really light. They don't really show up that great, especially on the textured watercolor cardstock. But what is fantastic is with Distress inks, because they react with water so well, you can kind of watercolor with them. So I pressed Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn onto my acrylic block. I'm wetting the leaves with a water brush pen that I've got some water in, and then simply kind of blending out the color, laying down a little bit darker color, and blending it out. And they are beautiful, and then they look watercolored. This is easy, simple watercoloring, especially for me. I love anything that I can do that makes it somewhat easier and simpler. Next, I've got the solid flower here. Again, stamped with Picked Raspberry Distress ink, blended out, and then I'm just kind of dabbing in or layering in some Abandoned Coral ink. I'll move on to another floral, also some more leaves. I'm going to start with the bottom edge of the design and kind of work my way up and around and fill in all of the open areas. Now the squeezed lemonade was especially light, but when you layer on top a little fossilized amber, maybe even a little carved pumpkin or dried marigold if you want to kind of to keep in the same color family or similar color family, you can do that. Go ahead and color in the leaves as well. You do want to make sure and clean the tip of your water brush pen, or if you're using a paintbrush and dipping it in water, make sure that it is cleaned off before you change colors. That way you don't cross-contaminate and get some kind of funny color combinations going there. Gonna go ahead and do this next set of leaves. I kind of like to build from the ground up, so I kind of guesstimate where I want the floral to go. Start with my leaves going off the edge of the panel and then stamp the bloom. I definitely wanted some of the florals to overlap the stamped greeting as well. I think it gives it a much more cohesive design. Again, the dried marigold is a lot like the squeezed lemonade, where it's really, really light, really unimpressive. But then if you go in and blend out that light color first, I always like to kind of get it a little wet by blending that color out, then go in and start layering in that darker color. So this is the dried marigold as my base, a little carved pumpkin. You can even go and maybe add a little abandoned coral or something like that if you want to darken up a few areas. I really love that bloom. I think it's really fun. Stamp another leaf here to kind of fill out the bottom. To finish it even more, I will add a few blooms here and there. I kind of think this looks like a lilac bloom, so I went ahead and colored it with some purples, Milled Lavender and Dusty Concord. Milled Lavender was the base color, just dabbed in a little Dusty Concord, adding a little center with one of the other stamps from the brushed florals to one of the blooms. Off the top right corner, I will stamp a different leaf design. Some of these other leaves are going to work good up here, I think, and that way I get a nice variety throughout the card design. I love this stamp set. The flowers are so, so pretty. Lots of ways to use this. This is another card or card design that I think would translate really well into creating a bunch of these. If you stamped a bunch of the thank you greetings, and what's great about the heartfelt wishes is that you can change up the type of thank you greeting. First of all, the thanks is in several different languages, and then there's lots of different smaller phrases that can be used with it. You could create a whole set of thank you cards to give as a gift to someone and simply watercolor these as you have time, and then you have the gift ready to go. This is definitely a card design that I would create multiples of. I'm going to fill in a little pink bloom down here. I didn't want too much white space around the bottom. With those kind of longer stems on the bottom, up along the top there's not as much white space, but there is more along the bottom. So I did fill in a couple little areas just to kind of not have quite so much white space, I guess. Go ahead and add another little stem here and leaves, and add another teeny tiny bloom. All the color combinations are the same as I have shown before, so sticking with the same colors throughout. Just going to add some additional stamped blooms along the top, and then fill in along the sides, especially with some of the individual leaf images. Whatever kind of fills in and works with the design the best. Once I have that completely watercolored, I did die cut another Madison Avenue frame from black cardstock, and this is a little trick that I've used a lot. When I want to raise up both the frame and the inside panel, I flip them over, make sure the inside is inlaid, and then I connect them with the foam adhesive. This is just going to pop it off of the background or the card base just a tiny bit. But it also secures that inside panel to the frame. So it's a seamless inlay. You don't have to try to put the foam adhesive around the frame, put that on the card, and then put foam adhesive on the inside panel and make sure it lines up. This is just a quick and easy way to add the foam adhesive and then pop the whole thing onto your card base. Now the card is good to go as is. This is perfect. You wouldn't have to add anything extra if you don't want to. I went ahead and added a few sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, attaching those with some Zots Bling glue dots. And my thank you card featuring some simple watercolored florals is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this Watercolored Florals card showcasing Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to complete my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos showcasing watercolor techniques with florals that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.